important building block of system redesign is the buildings themselves. At Homewood School, redesigning the learning spaces is aiding further curriculum innovations.
Before we had the new build, we were teaching total curriculum in its kind of primal form down in F block, and we had 2 large classrooms that we used, but they were very basic and they didn't have any facilities we really needed. T block was designed with this curriculum in mind, so the teachers were consulted on what they should look like, what sort of facilities we needed in there.
Homewood is also using its new build to expand its vocational programme. This is restructuring another building block of system redesign, the relationship between school and the workplace. Homewood is doing this by bringing the workplace right into the school. Robert and Laurie are Year 10 pupils taking catering at GCSE. They learn each day in a fully equipped industrial kitchen, which also serves a restaurant at lunchtime for staff and guests.
When I was younger, I always liked cooking, and when I got to Year 9, I heard about this building was being builded, and there was woodwork, painting and decorating and catering, and I just wanted to be a chef, so I took catering. Give us an hour and 10 minutes, Laurie. Yeah. Get thicker soon.
I like catering and geography because geography is very interesting, and catering I like being up here, especially the days we cook for the staff, do restaurants and stuff like that. It's good fun.
We have to be able to skill our students and almost train our students how to be adaptable and how to be flexible. And surely one of the most appropriate ways of doing that, if a student has already decided they want to go into the catering industry, is to actually put that teaching of catering into the real context of the catering industry and not just fabricate a kind of artificial environment, but to put them into the workplace as well.
And just squeeze with your right hand, guide with your left.
Homewood School has found that redesigning the curriculum, learning spaces and the links between workplace and school is leading to further innovation.
But of course the difficulty then is that you create a curriculum opportunity which then becomes very popular. So the job is never finished.
What we're calling the reconfigurations are the building blocks of system redesign. And if you introduce 2 or 3 of those that are compatible with one another and can support one another, then you get a major benefit because the 3 reconfigurations add up to more than the sum of the individual ones.
This is Lipson Community College in Plymouth. Here they're beginning to move away from the established idea of year groups. When head teacher Steve Baker arrived in 1995, this inner city school was struggling to improve and attract numbers. Since then, they have redesigned the traditional house system into a community of mini schools in which pupils of all ages mix together. Now the school is thriving.
This is a school of 1,400 people. We can't know every single child in that setup. But if you subdivide it into a unit of 6, then all of a sudden that becomes possible. There was a kind of guild system in traditional house system. The problem was it was neither one thing nor the other. Although there was a guild system, people were still arranged in year groups. So there was no real vertical integration. So we decided to change that when we became a specialist arts college. And we also changed the nature of the guilds to become specialist in nature.
Caroline, a Year 11 pupil, is in the Players Guild, which specialises in the performing arts.
The whole school is split into 6 different guilds, and you have players, merchants, mariners, chandlers, coopers and surfers, and each guild a specific subject or a set of subjects. Like players does performing arts and chandlers does sports. Because I already knew someone that was in the guild before I came to the school, so I went in her tutor automatically, but then I stayed in it because it was the things that I was interested in, like drama.
Every morning, Caroline spends 20 minutes in her form tutor group doing the activity she most enjoys with pupils from years 7, 8, 9 and 10.
We tried the other day to see who wanted to be the victim, and Abby was very keen on that.
Okay, Abby, is that you'd like to be the person who's being bullied within the piece?
We hit upon this idea that to create this special time in the morning where children were able to opt in to their area that they were most comfortable with, most excited about, and with a teacher that shared that passion, they're most likely to have those really important learning conversations. and sometimes social conversations because of the nature of their lives.
What you need to do is work out the different angles.
Caroline is a lead learner, pupils that help and guide younger pupils in their tutor groups.
Caroline's brilliant. She's brilliant at explaining things in student language, supporting students. So sometimes a younger student will say, "Oh, I know what I mean, but I don't know how to say it, miss." And she's brilliant at then helping them unpick what they want to say, and then they can get their point over.
Assistant Principal Matthew Oakes is the head of the Players Guild. Matthew oversees the performing arts curriculum as well as looking after the pastoral side of the Players Guild students.
Sometimes children don't want to approach teachers. Sometimes they have issues at home, sometimes they have issues in school that they don't feel that they want to talk to an adult about. It gives them the opportunity to buddy up. It gives them the opportunity to go through homework together, or to go through issues together, or just to listen to someone else. Being able to approach a year 11 for a year 7 is huge. And I can't imagine if we had a horizontal system that communication would take place.
The year 11s don't necessarily know all the things that the year 8s and 7s know, and they can kind of, when it's fresh in their mind, they've just learnt it, they can help like a year 11 with revision or something of something they did ages ago that they can't quite remember.
The next challenge is, if we timetable year 7 English, year 8 English, year 9 English, why can't we now timetable Chandlers to do English, Players to do English, and have a cross-age approach? I think that then leapfrogs, transforms the entire notion of key stages.
If you want to introduce stage, not age, which children of different ages in the secondary school work together in their academic subjects, and that's very radical for many secondary schools, that's much more easily achieved if you also have a vertical tutoring system, and that replaces the standard pastoral system, which is a single year group.
Some schools have begun to erase the boundary between the pastoral and the academic in a different way. Outward Grange College in South Yorkshire has done this by radically redesigning their leadership structure. Assistant Principal Sabia Lahir is now working to spread school leadership right across the student body. This week she's announcing new leadership roles to each year group, and this morning it's the Year 9's turn.
What I'm going to talk to you about is something that we're developing very, very quickly at Outward Grange, and it's a very exciting opportunity for all the students from Year 7 all the way up to Year 13 to get involved. And I want as many students to get involved in this as possible. So we've got to make sure the focus is on new students. It's about co-construction. It's quite a long term that, but that basically means that students and teachers are working hand in hand and developing a programme of work together. And it's very important that students and teachers work together on things.
Year 9 pupils Jonathan and Joe are keen to apply for the new roles and responsibilities.
I'd like to do the governor job because there's more, you can choose what school buys for everybody else. So you'd have more student input than maybe teacher input.
I would also like to be involved in that part because you get to tell teachers what's wrong and what's right.
Something I really want to change is the sports because they aren't very well organised, and Year 9 don't really get much attention towards the sports as the other years.
One thing I feel passionate about is that students should be, there should be a working party of students in every single department across college. I want to see loads of Year 9 applying for these roles. Okay, we've got lots of Year 7s and Year 8s, but I want lots of Year 9s to apply for that role as well.
What I felt was that the Student Council were involved in far too many of these roles and spread out very thinly. And what I wanted to do is get a lot more of the student body involved. What I really want to create is this co-construction of students and teachers working together to develop teaching and learning for the students.
Student leadership is becoming increasingly important in many of our pioneering schools because students are no longer seen as passive recipients of their education, but as co-constructing partners with the staff who are designing every aspect of what goes on in the school. And that means participation in even the senior leadership team or the governing body. And the impact of this, I think, is to make young people much more mature socially, as well as to make them much better learners.
These 4 schools show just some examples of how schools are engaging with system redesign to rethink and reshape education. But common to all of these system redesigners is a determination to make innovation a part of the daily process of running a school.
All teachers are naturally innovative because you discover within your first week of teaching, as you're like an actor, you have to work on your performance with children because they change all the time. What we've not been very good at in England is treating that as a formal part of the job that needs support and encouragement, and most of all, time and resources. We do now have a wonderful generation of teachers with lots of creativity. We've got to find the time and resource to allow that creativity to show itself in innovation.
Now it's like, all right, this can grow. I've got space to grow as a teacher. The children have got space to grow. This probably will look very different if you came back 2 years from now. Just because there's such a level of innovation, people are really enthusiastic and they're engaged, they want this to work.
If I'm walking down the corridor and see a big group of people, I'll be like, oh, what are they? From my experience here, it just catches you. It just kind of grabs hold of you and won't really let go, and you get drawn into its kind of buzz, its excitement all the time.
You're put into a position where you know you've got to perform, you know you've got to make that difference.
I think that's what we can achieve with system redesign in this country, enabling teachers to feel confident not to deliver something that's been handed down. What a word! Who coined that phrase, deliver something? Good teachers inspire, they don't deliver. They inspire young people, and I think that's what system redesign can be the lever to create for this country.
There are lots of exciting things going on in all sorts of different schools that simply need a bit of joined up thinking, and that for one school creating one innovation is great for that environment, but then another school doing a slightly different thing, and a third school can draw from those ideas and then say, well, what's the relevant thing for our school?
The biggest barrier, I think, to school-led system redesign is actually the government. And the government has to accept that the time when it can dictate so much from the centre is coming to an end, and it has to stand back, it has to trust the profession, it's got to offer support for school-led system redesign.
I think if you look at the OECD league tables and you see the Scandinavian countries heading the pack there year on year, what they have got is absolutely key professionals, well qualified. The best scientists in Finland become science teachers. That's because the government believes in them. They believe in their autonomy, they trust their judgment, and they encourage them to be innovative.
I think the profession has a choice. It can either carry on with a system in which the government determines both the ends and the means of the education service, or the profession can say, we agree with the goal that the government has, which is a world-class education service, but the means of system redesign depends on us. The question is, are we up for it?